Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about some new releases and whether I think they are good or not. Let me clarify, reading subjective. These are my opinions and my opinions only. And I am actually going to throw in a ARC that I received. It's the book is already on KU, so if you don't want to wait for the audiobook, you can actually just go read it now if you wanted to. Another book that just came out on audio, and I've been waiting for this one, and I just really wanted to talk about it, so I'm going to actually throw it in here as well. So let's just get into it. The first book that I read that just came out was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I gave this one 5 stars, and it's on my favorites list. Okay, so this is Justin and Emma's story. Justin and Emma both feel like they were cursed. The people that they dated and then broke up with went on to find their true loves and ended up getting married. There's a lot of Abby Jimenez's humor in it, but she also writes in drama, specifically issues relating to how characters are emotionally and psychologically. And in this particular case, we are looking at Justin, who ends up becoming a single dad to his younger brothers and sisters. There's 3, because his mom ends up breaking the law and has to go to jail, and Emma, who was horribly neglected by his mother. And we see characters from past books make appearances, and one of them was her mother, and one of them was Neil from Part of Your World. And I love how she used those characters to show how characters can grow or not grow in the case of Diana, and how we as parents, the choices we make as parents, can ultimately hurt our children. And that's what happened to Emma. She cannot get close to people, and that's why she cannot find true romance. But her and Justin hit it off very well. Emma and her friend were going to go to Hawaii, but then Emma convinces her friend to go to Minnesota instead, which is a big ask, honestly. And because she's a traveling nurse. And anyway, Justin as a hero is like the perfect hero. He uses a survey monkey to ask her what she would like to do for her date and how he was on the date as exit surveys. I just thought that was rather funny and very clever. And he always showed up for Emma, even when Emma told him not to. I just felt like the whole cast of characters was fantastic. I felt like there's a lot of character growth in there, and I honestly loved the humor. There's like toilet bowl humor in there, but I also loved the connection between Justin and Emma, and how they did grow individually and as a couple, and that Justin gave the time that Emma needed for her to grow. So there is trigger warnings for panic attacks, anxiety, PTSD, depression, depictions of undiagnosed mental health issues, a toxic mother, and past child neglect. So be aware of that if you're going to go into this. But I actually highly recommend this one. This one was really, really good. The next one I did read was Avenging Angel. This is book 1 in her new Avenging series. This is a spinoff on her Rock Chick series. I've never read the Rock Chick series, so I think this is why I think it did not work for me as much as it worked for a lot of other people who had read the Rock Chick series, because I was like, because I feel like I was dropped into a world I did not know anything about. There was a lot of words that were unnecessary that I felt like. The humor was good. Like, I liked the humor. This was very much insta love where Cap, the hero, fell fast. I liked our heroine. She was kind of a vigilante, because this is kind of take off on Charlie's Angels. The story was very interesting, but it was very wordy. My mind started to just wander. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. This is very much crime fighting rom-com. I think if you love Rock Chicks, and I think if you love crime fighting rom-coms, I think you're going to really, really enjoy this. Normally this would be something I love, but like I said, I feel like I was dropped into a world I know nothing about, and that's on me, because I was like, oh, this is a new series, I think I can do this, and I was unfortunately wrong. I think that's probably why it didn't work for me, but I think if you know the Rock Chick series, and I think you love the Rock Chick series, I think you're gonna love this. So I would recommend it for people who love that series or love rom-com fighting, vigilante fighters, because that's essentially what it is. I enjoyed the humor, and I enjoyed the butt kicking. I enjoyed that our heroine going in and saving a little girl at the very beginning. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the romance, but like I said, I was dropped into a world I knew nothing about. And then the next one I read was Bridesmaids for Hire by Megan Quinn. This is fake dating, brother's best friend, and I always say I don't like brother's best friend, and I generally don't. And this is Hate to Love. So I know Megan Quinn by now because her books and I don't always agree or disagree. Sometimes we get along very well, sometimes we don't. She is over the top. Her and like Piper Rain, Pippa Grant, they get over the top, and I understand that. Whereas Jana Aston's more quirky and relatable. They're over the top, and they have like talking animals and stuff like that. The first part of this was really, really funny. My thing with this one is that the heroine was very immature. So this premise of this one was our hero was going to this wedding. The heroine had gone to Bali to relax. She's a wedding planner, and she was wearing like these very skimpy string bikinis so she could get a date, when in fact she was actually where there was a lot of like newlyweds, so she was not going to find a date. And she ends up seeing her brother's best friend there. They end up tripping over each other, literally. And so she ends up initiating the fake dating. He doesn't have a place to stay, so he's sort of pushing on her place to stay. So you have the one bed trope, which was a lot of fun, because they both really do like each other. They've always liked each other. Why they didn't get along is because he was kind of a jerk to her because he didn't want to upset his friendship with her brother, and so it was like, I like you, so I'm gonna pull your ponytail type of a thing. There was a lot of mishaps that started where the hero, oh my gosh, there was one point where he thought he was bit by a snake, which honestly made me laugh a lot. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny. She got him in the balls really, really bad, where he was, I actually felt sorry for him. I actually felt really bad for the hero. Like, I truly felt bad for the hero. The heroine came off a little mature, and neither of them completely communicated well with each other until like 2/3 of the way through the book. And then they're like, okay, well, we need to do this. Like, they both had to do things for each other in order for each other to be together. And there was planning and some deviousness in the planning. And I ended up giving this 4 stars. It's not my favorite Megan Quinn book. I felt like the setup was really well done. I liked the fake dating. The fake dating in this book was phenomenal. If I have to give you a fake dating, this would be a good fake dating one. It was so well done. I mean, they had these games and stuff where they had to pretend to be a couple. It was really fun. It was really fun. My thing is that she was just a little immature, and I know that about Megan Quinn. Megan Quinn's heroines tend to be on the immature side more often than not, and I know that going in, so I was prepared for it. So if you love Megan Quinn and you love a good fake dating, if you love a good brother's best friend, I highly recommend this one, because this one is good. I gave it 4 stars. It's one that I would recommend. One that just came out on audiobook, but it's been out for a while. So Gregory Salinas and Alison Voller were the narrators for this audiobook, and it is Fractured Souls by Neva Altaj. I have been waiting for this book to come out on audiobook. I love her books, but I love her books on audio, and I love her reading her books, but I love them on audio. Like, Gregory Salinas is so good. Anyway, from the start of this book, I was completely sucked in. Now, you have to be aware of the trigger warnings because this book starts with rape on page because she's being sex trafficked. Our heroine's being sex trafficked. Her name is Isaiah, and she fights, and then she is clobbered, and then she is drugged, and then forced into prostitution. That is the setup of this story, so this is not a spoiler. But then she fights and she gets out of that situation, and our hero Pavel, he saves her when she was running away, and she had been redrugged and to the point where she was overdosing, and he saves her life, and she's so traumatized she cannot handle men with suits with ties because of what happened to her. And she's 18 and he's in his 30s, I think. So it's a pretty big age gap. But with what happened to her, this was actually okay with me, this particular age gap. She couldn't handle going outside. She couldn't handle crowds. She's a concert pianist. He did everything he could to help her. And Saya, I think that's how you say her name. She is a mafia darling from New York, and she's trafficked to Chicago. And Pavel, who is part of the, I think the Bratva, because he's Russian, he was an underground fighter. So you have the underground fighting in this. You actually see him fight. So there is fighting in this. There's so much caretaking in this, and I just truly, truly love this book. I gave it 5 stars. This is probably one of my favorites in this series. Oh my gosh, this one is so good. The Perfectly Imperfect series is just one of my favorite series, mafia series, hands down. And then after that, I decided to read The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Now, be aware, this is my first Leigh Bardugo book. I've never read Shadow and Bone. I've never read any of them, or Six of Crows, or any of them. So if I should give those other ones a chance, let me know down below. I ended up reading it through, but I did not rate it because if I rated it, it would not be a good rating, okay? And the reason why, this book is about wanting and gluttony. And this was basically historical fiction with magical elements. Our heroine is in the lower classes, and she was a servant, and she was basically coerced into using her magical abilities, kind of like parlor tricks. And then she ends up having this romance with this guy who I did not feel a romance. I think this was supposed to be a romance. Leigh Bardugo said this was supposed to be a love story. It didn't feel like a love story to me. This was everything about a cautionary tale of gluttony, lust, envy, all of it. And this took place in like 1600s Spain, around the time of the Inquisition. It's very atmospheric. She can write beautifully. Like, Leigh Bardugo can write her butt off. No one's denying that. And I am certainly not denying that. I think she is a gorgeous writer. I just wasn't prepared for the ending and how it ended, because it's supposed to be, if it's a love story, it has to have an HEA. I will die on that hill. I didn't feel it. Now, I could be wrong. And if you think I'm wrong, let me know down below. I think if you like her books, I think you might like this one. It is very interesting. It wasn't what I expected it to be. But yeah, no, she can write beautifully. It was very atmospheric. But it was a cautionary tale of gluttony, wanting, envy, and the prices you're going to pay for everything. So yeah, and I will leave it at that. Okay, and then after The Familiar, I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and I gave this 5 stars. And after I read this, my first feeling was, oh my gosh, Elsie Silver is back after Hopeless. She's back. This is Rosie and Ford. And Ford, I loved him as a hero. Like, they've been pining for each other since they were kids. they were like playing, it's supposed to be childhood enemies to lovers, but it was more like he was like pulling her ponytail type of thing again, type of a deal. Both just moved back to Rose Hill. He's now a billionaire starting his own label. She just lost her job after being sexually harassed by her boss, and I love how Ford gets ultra possessive over this and what he does in retaliation. I love a good revenge plot, and Ford really does good on the revenge part of this, I'm not gonna lie. He ends up finding out that he has a 12-year-old daughter named Cora due to sperm donation that he made, I think when he was 19, to get money to go see a rock band. I know that you can technically look up who the donor is if the donor is willing to be looked up, and so I'm assuming that Ford did check, yes, you can look me up, and she did when she needed help because her father died, I think of ASL, and her mother, and this is a trigger warning, just got into a very depressive state after her husband died and was just unable to take care of Cora. So she didn't want to be put in the foster care system while her mother went for treatment. So she tracked down Ford to get help. As a familial placement, we got to see Willa, which was a lot of fun. This one is a very much slow burn compared to a lot of the other ones. I feel like Ford was a kind of a cross between Cade and Theo, so I loved it. The banter was top notch. The pacing was fantastic. The romance was very swoony. This actually exceeded my expectations because my expectations had lowered after Hopeless, to tell you the truth. So I really, really enjoyed this. This was a great start to a new series. I am excited for Wes. That's Rosie's brother, and I loved how when they went to go tell him about their relationship, he's like, well, we've just been waiting for you guys to figure it out. I loved how I loved his reaction. I was like, now that's how a brother's best friend romance is supposed to be. Thank you very much. So yes, if I was going to recommend for a brother's best friend, this one I would absolutely recommend. And I loved it, so I gave it 5 stars. So another new release that I just read was 9 Month Contract. This by Amy Dawes. This is a rom-com surrogacy. She gets pregnant with a baby Tylenol syringe after he jizzes in a ranch cup because their kit did not come in the mail in time after they get drunk. Yeah, he's a mountain man, a grumpy mountain man. She's sunshiny. She has a lot of trauma from being neglected in the past, and she's independent to a fault. I will die on this hill. Trista's independent to a fault because she will put herself in danger because she wants to prove that she can do it herself, and she has shown this in this book. I'm like, girl, you're a capable human being. You don't need to prove that. This has Amy Dawes' humor all the way. I read The Surrogate by Penelope Ward, and I gave that one 4.45 stars. I gave this one 4 stars because Trista, with her ultra independence, just kind of was starting to irritate me towards the end because she's like, well, we're going to have a contract, we're going to do this, we're going to, and then when she walked out to save the chickens from a coyote when she was pregnant, and he's like, don't do that, you could have been hurt. I was like, yeah, that's why I took a star off, because she was kind of being dumb, to show that she could be ultra independent. But I loved Everly. This is a spin-off from the Wait With Me series. The last one was a Fletcher Brothers. So this is the beginning of the Fletcher Brothers. And Wyatt, Everly is now getting ready to go to college. She finds Trista when Trista's coming out because she needs money to start an animal sanctuary because Trista likes animals more so than humans. And I can relate to that. So she is always rescuing these animals. And so Wyatt just can't say no to her. So he has a goat named Millie, ends up getting pigs, a potbelly pig, ends up getting a rabbit, ends up getting this horse that has a problem with his jaw, and he says no to chickens, and she ends up bringing chickens, and she's like, if I give them up, then they'll just become dinner. And he's like, fine, keep the chickens. I enjoyed it. It was funny. It had the humor, it had the angst, he was a grumpy mountain man, she was very sunshiny. I would recommend this if you love Amy Dawes. I would recommend this if you wanted to give Amy Dawes a opportunity. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and the way she got pregnant was so much fun. You can't take rom-coms seriously. So that if you like rom-coms, you can't take them seriously. Like, and I will die on that hill as well. It's just, don't take them seriously. Go in for the vibes, the ride, the good time. And that's what I did with this. I gave 4 stars. Is it an ultra favorite? No. But I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I would absolutely recommend this if you're in. And the fact that he was falling for his surrogate was a lot of fun. This last book, it actually just came out February of this year, so you can actually get this on KU, but I just got the audio arc from Good Girl PR, and the narrators are Kai Kennicott and Ren Ross. Okay, let me tell you about this book. This is book 3 in the Venice Mafia series. I didn't even know this was a book 3 in a series. I've never even heard of Terror Crescent. It was about a guy named Leo who was vowed over his dead wife that he would never fall in love again after she was shot on their wedding day, right? And to repay debt, he decides he's going to marry Rosa Tran. He and Rosa have very, very good chemistry. Rosa really, really needed to get married to save her brother because her brother did something really stupid. And this is a mafia romance. In this age gap, there are 16 years is actually okay with me, honestly, with the way this story is set up. Rosie is Vietnamese. Her family immigrated into Italy, and I actually really liked the way she talked about how her family immigrated to Italy. He's very much a grumpy mob enforcer, and she's very much a sunshine fashion designer, and she is well known. People love her wedding gowns and her dresses and stuff. He is so possessive and obsessive over her, and but he's very logical and methodical over it. He's not unhinged like our dear Mr. Dom from the Alliance series. Like, there's not that steady unhingedness that I have seen, right? He did little things for her, which was so sweet to see. But the biggest thing was how he protected her family. She did keep some stuff because her brother asked her to keep a secret, that ended up being the conflict in the end. There was no third act breakup. He understood what was going on. But it was really well done. The writing itself was good. The romance was really, really good. And I kind of appreciated that the plot wasn't completely unhinged and there was enough depth to these characters that it felt realistic. The Kai Kennicott and Ren Ross, they killed it as narrators. I would recommend that if you wanted to wait for the audiobook to come out, absolutely do so. But you can actually read this on KU because it's out right now on KU. Even though this was the 3rd book in the series, I didn't actually feel like I was missing something in this series. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. So you could wait for the audiobook, or you could just go to KU and get it, because I would absolutely recommend that one. So anyway, those are some of the new releases, whether they are new to audiobook or they just came out recently, and how I felt about them. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me down below. Like I said, reading is subjective, and opinions are very much valued around here and respected. And if you made it this far in this video, please leave me a bouquet emoji, since one of the books had was about weddings, and you have the bouquet and the flowers and stuff. Anyway, until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.